At this time, I'll call the meeting of the Murray City Council to order. Welcome those who are here and any that might be watching remotely. After we have a moment of reflection, and certainly there are lots of things to reflect on in today's world, I'll ask Mr. McHouston to lead us in the pledge after that moment of silence.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda tonight is to consider the minutes of the July 9th, 2020 meeting of the council.
So move acceptance. Second.
Move in a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion, comments, questions? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Minutes are approved. Mayor's report tonight. I want to make a few comments about the COVID-19 situation. There have been approximately 60 positive cases in Callaway County these first 24 days of July. And we seems to have 2, 3, 4, as many as 6 cases a day. And I just want to, at this time, make a request that everyone do what's asked and what's recommended by the health officials by wearing our mask when we're within 6 feet of someone, but with social distancing, proper sanitation, and so forth. That worked for us early. We didn't have a lot of cases. And now, whether it's because things opened up or for whatever reason, we're starting to have more. We know that school may start in some form soon. We know that Murray State students will be returning soon. That's all the more reason that we've got to be diligent in abiding by what's been recommended by our health officials. I humbly ask the businesses in town to do what listed on your front door and say that you must have a mask to enter. If someone refuses to do what you ask them to do, then you may refuse service. But losing a customer won't be as harmful to your business as being shut down again. And that's what could happen if these cases continue to rise. And we don't want that to happen. We've been through that. We saw what it did to our economy and to our citizens who were out of work. Now, if someone refuses or gives you a problem when you refuse service, you call the police department and we'll help you, okay? So please, before more stringent orders have to be made, let's listen to our appeal and do what's right for yourself, for others. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of a downtown grant application. Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Good evening. If you recall, in last year's budget, there was a $50,000 line item specifically for downtown revitalization in the historic district. We ended up using $40,000 of that money for to help businesses during COVID-19. However, we did have an application come in. We've had one come in May 6th for Rebecca Lou at 109 South 4th Street. That's where she owns the building there on the Court Square. She has requested to replace windows on the facade with wood-clad windows, which will be open, given a means of egress, and maintenance repair work on the facade, which includes caulking, waterproofing, painting, etc. Her application, excuse me, has been reviewed by the EDC and the facade coordinator, and it does meet all of our requirements. She's got the historic preservation approval, and she's also got the architectural review board approval. So I would ask you tonight to consider approving her application. The total cost of the work is $16,292.78, which the city's portion with a match would be $8,146.39. And I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Are there any questions?
I move we approve this application.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve this application and that grant request be approved as per the guidelines. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The request is approved. Now we'll consider resolution 2020-011, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2020-011. Resolution requesting that the residents of the city of Murray, Kentucky be exempt from the county 911 fee imposed on common tax bill.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve this resolution, which you have a copy of,
Second.
and a second. Is there any discussion on this? All right.
I think there was a recommended change to this resolution. It was read as though the resolution is for the residents. We went to expand that, I believe, to make it property owners. I believe it is. Is that correct? Is that what I understand here? So that includes businesses.
Yes, I believe that change has been made.
You may not have that, but I think that should be property owners of the city of Murray, so the residents.
Okay. So that'd be anybody in the city who receives a property bill.
That's correct.
Okay. So that is the essence of your request, that the property owners be exempt from that since we have our own 911 system.
Mayor, I know we discussed that previously, but I'm still, and I've talked to people in the county government about this. I still don't completely understand what's going on here.
Okay.
Why this can't, is this a simple answer, or is this, what all is behind all this?
Well,
What,
uh,
why can't we have one system instead of two?
I think that was discussed when you moved into the police station. Is that correct, Mr. Osborne? And for whatever reason, it wasn't worked out. That would be an alternative, is to have a discussion about merging the two systems. But for some reason, when they discussed it a few years ago, they couldn't agree to the terms on it. And you've heard Chief Lyles give you the history of the 911 and how Murray has had a 911 system for many, many years, and for a while, I think it was served by the county, and then they eventually decided to have their own. And then this ordinance that they passed, said that they would add that to the $30 fee to every tax bill, in the entire county per unit, okay, per unit. So if, someone has multiple properties, it'd be $30 on every tax bill. If they have 15 apartments, it'd be 30 times $15, and so on and so forth. As you can see by the resolution, our citizens are already paying $1 a month if they have a landline, and 70 cents per line for every cell phone that they have. And this is collected in Frankfurt. The resolution also states that we have met with them, and we've discussed this with them, and had a concern that these services aren't provided to our citizens by the county 911, unless our citizens happen to be out in the county. And of course, if their citizens happen to be in the city, our 911 would answer the 911 call. So that in essence is, you are requesting that they exempt the city residents because our residents are already paying a 911 fee. And it also points out that in May, before their ordinance was passed in September, that both the judge and I signed a form that identified the boundaries of our 911 programs. And ours says that the city of Murray's 911 system serves people who reside, who are in the city limits, and theirs is the county up to the city limits. So that was signed as required by the state of Kentucky E911 program, and so that's where we are. They passed the ordinance, and their intent is that everyone who resides in Callaway County would pay that fee, and this request is to exempt the city residents.
But they've already passed an ordinance, and that would have precedence over, we're just requesting this by resolution. It has no legal power to it.
Well, you're requesting that they amend their ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is the chance of that happening? What I'm really getting at is, why are we having to hire twice the amount of people that you would normally have? If they've got their system, and we've got our system, and you've got people that are doing both systems, and if we had one system, it would be much more efficient.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I don't feel real comfortable in any of this.
okay.
I just don't think we've had enough discussion with the county. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people in the city aren't very happy with this. And I don't understand how the thing works. Or it looks like we're duplicating services.
I can understand that.
They are duplicating everybody. What this resolution is the fact that we are fighting for our citizens and the people that own property here. We've got to start somewhere. If we want to carry this thing further, we've got to send them a resolution knowing the fact that telling them that we disagree with this is where we got to start. If we continue to disagree with it, then we got to take it further. This just shows that we are trying at least our best to protect our citizens here in this city and our property owners in this city. That is what this resolution does. Yes, is it a piece of paper with writing on it? Sure it is. We send these all the time to the state. They pay attention to some, but they don't. But at least we have sent them, and at least we are trying to send them. That's where it starts.
Well, I received a letter stating that our property evaluation would be increased to pay for this service. And when I asked what was providing that service for me now, since I live in the city, I found out that Murray City has a 911 service that we pay with our landline and our cell phone. So we already have a service that we're paying for, and it appears to me that the county is charging us for a service that we don't need. And if I am in Murray city limits and have an emergency and call 911, that call will be routed to a Murray City 911 provider. Is that correct? So if I never left the city of Murray for any reason, I would never call on the Callaway County 911 service. So why would it be reasonable for me to pay that additional fee?
Well, I suppose that they can ignore this, they can approve this, or they can recommend that you try to sit down and work out a merger of the two. You know, so they have several options, and I showed the judge the courtesy of telling him that he very likely could receive a resolution, and we're not trying to get in the habit of sending them a resolution every time we meet, but this is something that has been on the table for quite some time. Before the COVID hit, it was on the table, and but then we couldn't really discuss it remotely very well, so we waited until we got back together, and that's sort of where we are. We expressed our concerns right after they did it, and they said, well, this is what we did.
Well, was there a discussion, a serious discussion before they passed this? Did they try to work with the city in any way?
I didn't,
Or did they just say, we're gonna do this, we don't care if you like it or not?
well,
Is that their attitude?
we were not aware they were gonna pass it. I'll just say that. Yes, ma'am.
Is it like for, revenue? Is that why they're doing it? Did they keep that revenue
Do they keep the revenue?
from
Yes, ma'am.
on the city?
Mhm.
But when we pay our city 911, our cell phone and our landline, that, we don't get that.
It comes back here to us from the telephone company, and then the state collects the cell phone, and they forward that to us. Yeah. So anyway, we already had a motion, didn't we?
Yes.
To approve this. Any other discussion? All in favor of forwarding this resolution to the fiscal court, please say aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Now we have resolution 2020-012. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2020-012, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Murray, Kentucky to execute any and all necessary documents to negotiate and finalize the sale of real property and improvements located at 623 North Fourth Street, Murray, Kentucky, 42071, which is more particularly described as a .671 acre tract as shown on the survey plan recorded in plat book 58, page 9, slide 5626 in the Callaway County Court Clerk's Office.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and approved. As you know, we had an auction for this property that was located on the property that we bought for the expansion of the cemetery in the future. And although it didn't bring what we hoped it would bring, having an auction satisfied state law that says you have to document that you're getting fair market price. And everyone had a chance to bid on it, and the successful bidder got it for $33,000. And this authorizes me to complete that transaction, right? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Records will show that we have 10 of our council members present physically, one remotely, and one is ill tonight. So we have 11 council members here. We're going to need to go into executive session again to talk about litigation. There again, there'll be no action when we return other than to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a motion, we enter executive session?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll convene in executive session in the boardroom on the second floor. Thank you.